Hey, it's me again. I got a few thoughts on the current craziness going on in this country that I want to share. Uh, just a fair warning, at this particular time, I'm going to make a little bit of an effort. I'm planning to remain politically neutral, but I'm not guaranteeing it. This video might be just a little different than normal, but I want to try to also address it from a Christian perspective a little bit. Okay, one of my thoughts is it really don't matter how bad others act out. It still don't give us the right to behave in an ungodly manner. Just as an example, if my neighbor, I'm not sure who he supports, but if I did know, and if my neighbor supported a political candidate that I don't like, or has up a political sign that I don't like, even if it's one I find very offensive, well, should I go steal that sign? Well, here's what the Bible does say: thou shalt not steal. Should I go beat my neighbor up because he disagrees with me politically? That's not my understanding of the Bible. Should we go vandalize property? Nope, that's not my understanding of the Bible. So, however, whichever way we see it, whichever way we believe, or whichever political candidate or political party that we belong to, I believe that we, as children of God, have the duty and obligation and the right to behave in a godly manner. We don't have to go cuss people out. We don't have to go attack people. We don't have to engage in assault. We don't have to destroy their business. We don't have to prevent them from feeding their families. We don't have to show up at their home. We don't have to threaten their families. We can and should behave in a godly manner. Now, another thing, I hope this ain't too political, but most that's been on my mind. I couldn't tell you how many people my neighbor has over to their house on holidays, and I live in apartments. Partly, I don't see no reason to go around checking or spying on them, and I got enough trouble taking care of my own home. And secondly, unless I'm not really convinced it's any of my business, to be brutally honest. Now, this is not legal advice, and this is a decision you have to make between you and God. I don't know what your local law requires of you, but personally, as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge, there ain't no law that tells me I have to spy on my neighbors, where I live anyway. So, I don't see the need to do that. And personally, as long as they're not causing a problem, I'm just not sure I should be calling the police on my neighbors just because they have a certain amount of people at, I don't know, let's say a Christmas dinner or something, just as an example. I know Christmas is already over by the time I'm making this video, of course. I just can't think of anything else. Well, Christmas, New Year, that's over too. I can't really think of anything else to compare it to at the moment. And I just think, we should behave in a godly manner to the best of our ability. Pray, definitely pray, no matter which side you're on. We definitely need to pray. Don't stop praying. Don't blame God. And as long as you are able to do so, if you're healthy, and if you're, like where I live, the court said the governor could not stop us from going to church. So, I believe as long as I am healthy and my work schedule permits me to, I should go to church as best as I can. Because the Bible does say, forsake not the assembling of yourself together. And sorry to be controversial, but I don't think you should be using COVID as or civil unrest if or whatever happens in Washington should not be an excuse for you to decide not to go to church. And I'm using the word excuse on purpose because I can understand there might be things that will legitimately prevent you from making it to church. No, I can understand that. Just as an example, my wife woke up sick, so she wasn't able to make it today. Unfortunately, I had to work today. Not to the best of my knowledge. I should be able to make it to the midweek service, because if memory serves, I'm off that day, thankfully. But no, sometimes things do come up. I'm just talking about when you use it as an excuse, because I've seen people online, and not call no names, because you and God got to figure this out. It's not my place to judge you. I'm not meaning to judge you anyway, and I hope I'm not. But and I don't believe I am. But I know somebody, as best as I can remember, they did claim that fear of COVID is why they're not coming to church right now. Well, as best I can remember, that particular person hadn't been to church even before, for probably a month or better before we even heard about COVID. And then, sorry, it's just kind of an observation. And then all this other stuff going on with politics. Let's not let politics totally define us. I mean, I'm not saying don't have your beliefs. I believe you should study the Bible, and if you're going to vote, you should try to find somebody that whose policies will most closely match up with biblical values if you're going to vote. But if you and your brother in church, for example, disagree over whose politics do or don't, that don't mean you bash each other over the head. Don't get your Louisville Sluggers. Don't get your guns and start shooting each other over a political disagreement. Don't go burn down somebody's house. Don't threaten their family. Don't try to prevent them from feeding themselves and their families. To me, that's wrong when if you try to get somebody fired just because they support a candidate you do not like, I just don't think that's quite ethical. I don't think that's godly behavior. And I probably rambled a bit, and sorry if I did. God bless and good night.